What's up, everybody? This is Chris Nichols, and you're listening to an episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show featuring Ross Fledderjohn. Enjoy. You don't know what I'm about to do. Big explosion, get it right now. She's heating up, so acting full. Slow down, man, I just don't know how. You don't know what I'm about to do. Ross, my man, what is going on?
What's up? How you doing? Good to see you.
Dude, same to you, man. It's been a few years, huh?
It's been a minute.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate you having me out here in Vegas. You got a good setup, bro.
Thanks, man. Of course, yeah. Lucky to. Thanks for having you out here.
Absolutely, dude. So, guys, what's up? I am here in Las Vegas today with Ross Fledderjohn. Ross is a good buddy of mine from college, but he has been killing it on his entrepreneurship journey since college with his many different businesses that he's started. He is currently the founder and CEO of SiteRight, which is an all-in-one sales and marketing platform and service for small businesses. Ross founded SiteRight in 2016. It actually started as a website development agency and has grown quite a bit since. He is from San Diego, California, and currently is based out of Henderson, Nevada. Again, Ross, appreciate you having me, dude. I can't wait to get into this journey with you.
Let's go. Both born and raised in San Diego.
Dude, for real, man. Yeah. Well, for me, just born there, and it's always been a second home. But I would always go and visit every year, Coronado, and see family. But certainly now that I live there, it certainly feels like my home for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny to see like more and more people that are, especially from Santa Clara, that are moving back to San Diego.
Yeah.
And now, like every time I go back there, it seems like I have new friends to hang out with. It's pretty cool,
dude. Yeah, it's definitely picked up a ton of popularity over the past few years.
Yeah.
People from Northwest or from NorCal, people I guess are catching on to the lifestyle and the benefits. But dude, yeah, how have you been liking Vegas?
I've been loving it. Been loving it. Yeah. So I was in Santa Clara for the last few years, and then I moved out here couple years ago for business, and found that I could get much more space for my dollars, and was able to kind of find a good kind of community, and it's been great out here. Yeah. So I guess what was it, just that idea that gave you the idea to move here from the Santa Clara days? Because you came here directly after college, right? When you were getting going with some of your different ventures? It was a few years after. So I was in Santa Clara for a few years and was running the vape business. Okay. And we realized that the way legislation was going in California was not going to be a long-term, like the viability of that business long-term was not going to be in California. Yeah. And so we started looking at other places, Arizona, Nevada, and found Las Vegas specifically to be like the nice kind of happy medium between being nice to businesses, being close to San Diego, and like not too far of a drive from Santa Clara to make that move. Yeah. So it all kind of worked out, and so we chose Vegas as the location, and kind of just chose this neighborhood in Henderson on a whim, and lucked out, extremely lucked out. Yeah. And this is kind of the first space where I've had a lot of my own space, so I can start to, and this is kind of where things start to really explode with social media and kind of all these other things that I've been working on the side, because I just was by myself in this house. Yeah. And just like making videos, you know, not having to be, worried about someone next to me being like, oh, that was a crappy video.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. You kind of isolate yourself in a way, and you can zone in more. And I want to get into that, but let's actually just start with this journey of entrepreneurship from the time when you graduated. So it started off with the vape business you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that vape business, and then how that went, and then what happened from there to take us to today?
Yeah. So there was Santa Clara Vapors was a local vape shop, a local retail store near the university, Santa Clara University, and broke college student needing money, so I walked into there
and vapes.
And well, at that time, walked in there and met the owner, whose name was Kyle Fisher, and connected with him. And over the last like 10 years, except with the exception of the last like 2 years, we basically turned that business into a kind of a pitter patter retail store into a pretty dominant force in the online space to direct to consumer for a specific category within the vape market. And it was servicing the 55-year-old plus market.
Interesting.
Who, from the data that we gathered from our customer base, was these people had been smoking a pack and a half a day for like 30 years, and they needed to change their life. And so the products that we were selling them were true replacements for those traditional combustible cigarettes. And we found that demographic also had the money to spend on that product often, so that they would rebuy. Yeah. And they were a much better customer in the sense that they're not gonna like just stop one day. They're used to smoking, and this was a healthier alternative to what they were doing with traditional cigarettes. And this was drastically different than when we were running the retail store, because that was directly across the street from the university, very targeted towards that like younger crowd. And we just found that they don't spend money. Like, they are very fickle in their purchasing, especially in that product niche. And so we're like, let's just focus all online, all to like senior people essentially. And that's where our business like started to go crazy. And that was, we made that decision like a year and a half, 2 years before the pandemic. And so right as the pandemic started, every single vape shop across the country was shut down. And so our business was like doubling every like 2 weeks. Wow. Just because we had so many people that couldn't go, and especially for that demographic, older folk were more affected by COVID, so they were less likely to go out to a vape shop to get their products, so that they were, they then started searching for it online and found us. And so we realized that we had this crazy successful business on our hands. And then California instituted a 60% wholesale tax on all product imported into the state. And
oh boy.
So we're like, okay, well, this is like pretty unchill California. Like, come on.
Classic.
Yeah. Nevada, on the other hand, had a 30% wholesale tax. So we're like, okay, that's, and that percentage is lots and lots of money every year. So we're like, okay, if we can make the move, if one of us is willing to move out there, and I was like, I'll be that guy to just do that. Yeah. Because Kyle, my partner, has a wife and kids and family, so he's not able to just kind of like uproot his life. Yeah. And so we decided to move the entire business from Santa Clara to here in Vegas to save 30% on taxes for the wholesale side of things. Yeah. And so
insane.
Yeah. And so just from like the basic like redacted math of this is how much we were spending in California versus this how much is what we would be spending in Nevada, the math like made sense. Like this is a positive ROI, positive move after a year. Because we would have to rebuy and reapply and get business licenses, tobacco licenses, and everything that applies to that specific business category, which costs tens of thousands, like so much money. Yeah. And it's such a hassle because it's so restrictive on who can actually do that type of business. So we made the move in December of 2020.
Okay.
And
right before all the fun started.
Basically. Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2020.
2020. So it was a full year.
A full year after. Yeah. Okay.
So it was like through the thick of it. Yeah. And we were like, okay, this is crazy. Like business is just booming.
Gotcha. That's insane. So you kind of just blew up with COVID.
Kinda. Because we had positioned ourselves to be hyper focused on this e-commerce market. Yeah. And like during this whole time is like other businesses are started and we're testing new product, and we can go into all those other things.
Sure.
But so we get here to Vegas, and we get all of our licenses, and we get up and running. And then March of 2021, the federal government did one of their stimulus bills, or whatever
packages,
and it was one of those super long ones, like thousands and thousands of pages long. And in one of those bills, in a small page, in a small section at page whatever, they reclassified the products that we were selling, vape products, as a tobacco product. And so overnight, it made it illegal for national carriers to ship product directly to consumers, which made it illegal for, like, we essentially couldn't get our product to the customers.
And was this all in relation to the whole vape? Was this that the legislation that was being passed around whether vapes are even legal to be sold in the U.S.?
This is all kind of like in that realm.
Okay.
So part of this process, like, we created a PMTA, a pre-market tobacco application with the FDA. And this allowed us to apply to have our products be approved by the FDA to be sold in the United States. And part of this process that was proposed by the FDA was you had to have all this testing done on your products to prove to the FDA that that it's not harmful against people, or, all the tests that the FDA normally requires of, like, a skincare product, just a normal thing. So the benefit of the company that we were working with is they had a massive infrastructure over in Europe. They're one of the biggest manufacturers of vape products in Europe. And they had already completed all of the testing required by the EU to have their products legally be sold. It's like EU's version of the FDA. So they had the child lock testing tests. They had the analysis from the laboratory of the elements that were in the juices. Like, they had everything. And so all we had to do was basically compile it for the FDA, which in and of itself was a complete and utter ridiculous task. And so we were able to successfully submit to the FDA over 1,400 applications for every single variation of one of our products.
1,400.
Yeah. And every single one of them included full laboratory testing, child lock, cap testing, like the whole 9 yards of what the FDA had asked of us. And we were in the minority of people that were actually able to get all of that stuff up, because most of the people that were in, especially in the United States, were like homebrew people or small companies that didn't have millions of dollars to go and pay a laboratory to test their product.
So how did you guys do it?
Because the other company already had it. They already had it for Europe. And so our bet was that if we can show that all of this testing for Europe, an entire, collection of nations, and this is what they're accepting, we can compile and package all of that information up and submit it to the FDA in the hope that they will then approve it based off of that existing testing data.
Okay.
So we successfully submitted all of those applications, and they were in review by the FDA. And then the federal government comes out with that legislation.
Wow. So you guys did everything you were supposed to do correctly and just got...
Other companies were just like, screw it. We're just going to keep selling. Like, we don't what they can catch us. What's going to, whatever. And so basically they gave us a 14-day window of figuring it out. So we basically had 14 days to figure out how to replace a national shipping carrier. So we were looking at alcohol distributors, like weed delivery places. And we just didn't have the funds or infrastructure to basically turn around and be like, okay, now we can do direct delivery to customers through an alternative method. And so, And so pretty much overnight, that business got shut down by the federal government.
That's crazy. So it wasn't like like COVID in a way helped you guys for a temporary amount of time because they couldn't get get into their shops where they usually would buy their vapes.
Exactly.
And they could just buy it online from you. But then separately from COVID, but sort of related, in their big list of really, really great ideas that they had in this stimulus package, they went ahead and and shut you guys down in that. That's crazy, because I've talked to some entrepreneurs where COVID just had very different impacts on them, right? Like a friend who does construction remodeling, he boomed because everyone wanted to do remodeling during that time. And then a friend who has a skincare studio, she just got shut down and screwed over, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of felt both sides of it, but for different reasons.
Yeah, and then all of the e-commerce knowledge that we had, we started applying to other entities and products and service-based.
So let's transition into that then. So when you shut down, like, what was going through your head right after you got the news of this this legislation?
I mean, it was definitely a shock. And there's a 9-part video series on my Instagram and YouTube that like goes through every detail of the whole saga.
Oh, wow.
So that's really interesting if you want to, hear more about that. Cause it goes kind of into the tinfoil hat stuff of how like the big tobacco companies were paying percentage of their tax revenue to the state governments and how that tax revenue was less. And it goes into it. Yeah. But anyway, like this entire time, like when I met Kyle of the vape shop, we connected just really well, and our brain waves are on the same frequency. So we realized that we were building our own websites for our vape products and landing pages, and figuring out how to do search engine optimization, SEO with Google, because that whole industry was banned from advertising. So we had to find alternative methods. So email marketing, SMS marketing, like alternative methods to find new customers and without paid ads, which is like nowadays, how do you and so we realized that we could start applying this to other people's businesses and be able to give this or offer this as a service to people. And that's where SiteRight was born.
Got it.
And so SiteRight started out as a website development agency where we started by building other people e-commerce websites and using our knowledge of like how this is a more optimal layout of a store or a landing page or a product page versus like the generic template that somebody might get with a Shopify or a WooCommerce store.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to ask you, like, what was the primary platform that you built these with? Was it Shopify?
I mean, back in the day, it was like WooCommerce on WordPress, even like Magento, like OG stuff that, I mean, they're still around, but obviously everybody now uses Shopify.
Yeah, but this was before Shopify really took off.
Yeah.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah. And so we started kind of just testing out other products and other things and started doing more service-based stuff. And that's where I started seeing the angle as like, okay, I could do it myself and it's a lot of work, but you make good money. But if I start doing a service-based, I could provide that to other companies and get paid more money and do less work. And over the years, it's just kind of progressively gotten more on that scale where I realized I can provide a better service, do less work, and make more money, like over time. Yeah. And like now, by providing a software piece in addition to the services, we're able to kind of hit on that note.
Interesting. Okay. So how long was it just services, just the web development services, until you added that software piece?
Up until maybe like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Or so. Yeah.
So a few years into the business.
Yeah. So for the first, I'd say 2-3 years, it was hardcore, just website development.
Yeah.
Then with the addition of a couple other brands that I was working on, I started learning more about paid advertising on social media, and then social media and social media marketing, and kind of realizing that these are other things that I start to have a pretty good grasp on, and how to apply the same strategies for my own business to other people's businesses, and then get paid for it. And so this is kind of where this whole idea of the agency was born. Was I was just doing these things for my own entities, my own businesses, and then other friends, colleagues, or peers who were running their own stores or things, we would connect, and then I would help them out and boost their sales or help their optimize their website, and then just kind of doing that over and over and over, and just realizing like this is kind of instead of trying to create new brands over and over and over and keep cycling them up, it's just I could rinse and repeat this much easier at much larger scale.
With the social media stuff?
Just service-based stuff in general.
Okay.
Yeah, and then finding software that enhances and supports those tasks and services. So everything, like, for instance, website development, you know, I could say, let's develop this site on another platform, but it's much better if I could say, let's develop it on my own platform where you have full control. And if you need to talk to someone, it's not just a nameless, faceless corporation. Like, you can just DM me.
Right. So what is someone's experience with SiteRight? Like, how does the pricing model work? How does one subscribe? Could you explain, is it licensing? What does that work?
Yeah, it's a simple monthly pricing, a couple $100 a month.
Okay.
And you get access to the full software. And we have a higher priced model that's like a done for you situation where, I want my website done. Okay, we'll do it for you.
It's like an all-in-one service.
Complete exactly.
Package, yeah.
So because we know how to use the software the best. Sure. So we can, and this is where it really enhances, because I can talk with a business owner, identify the problems that they're facing currently, and then design a custom solution that fits their business, and then execute on that strategy with the software. So that way it's an all-in-one, like, from problem, you have an executed, ready to go solution that you can, like, it's active. Yeah. Like, you could start collecting data or sending information without having to deal with all the hassle.
Okay. Very cool. Well, so I'm curious about the social media side. That's been a really exciting thing for us to watch with you over the recent years. You've absolutely blown up.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, you have what, like 130,000 Instagram followers now?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And this all kind of blew up in the past year, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's
tell us about this.
It blows my mind. Like, it's like, who am I? Why me? What the heck? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So like many other people in the middle of the pandemic, I was like, okay, I gotta just start making content if I want to get more clients. And this is kind of an idea that I tell a lot of business owners is you're trying to position yourself as the authority figure in your niche. And so I realized for myself personally, I was trying to set myself up as the tech stack guy, or like the guy who shares other cool websites with people, because that's what I was doing organically with my team and my peers. I would just...
So it's really more just like a hobby in addition to this stuff.
Kinda. Yeah, kinda. I started it from the get-go with the intention of it being to make more money.
Sure.
To drive more traffic to my business. Like, it's always been about driving traffic to the business, not about fame or followers or...
Got it.
That was all secondary.
So it was just like different ways of sharing value with prospects, or customers, to get them to come back to SiteRight ultimately.
Yeah. And it started out on TikTok. So I started out on TikTok.
Okay. So you originally started doing this effort on social media.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started out on TikTok making videos. I had no idea what I was doing. Filming my face, like editing, like no idea.
When did you start on TikTok?
Started, this would be June or July of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. And about a year and a half ago. 0 followers on TikTok, maybe like 800 followers on Instagram from just friends.
Your
and family.
friends, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. And I was like, do I make a new Instagram or do I just convert this one? And I was like, well, I was like, oh, I don't care. I'll just convert this one. Like the people who care and are my friend, like they'll stay.
Sure.
And even if they don't, it's social media. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's like
good attitude.
It's whatever. So I started posting, and then a buddy of mine was like, you should make videos about how you share content with me. Because I would just in Slack, I'd be like, hey, here's a new website I found that does this. Check it out. It's really cool.
Sure.
And he was like, you should try making a video like that. And that's kind of where things started to pick up for me on social media in general. Was instead of making generic advice-based information, I found that people want quick, actionable information that's like that they can consume really quickly and take action on really quickly.
Yeah.
And the videos that I make about websites, you're able to just go to the website right now. You don't have to watch a video or read a book or think. You can just go to the website.
That is so true. So important.
Yeah. And so I found that specifically doing call to actions to the website and not check my link in bio or check the whatever. It's just as organic as I could make it to be how I would just share a video with you. And I started making those videos, and they started getting some traction. And one of the videos that I made was this, the intro hook of the video was, here's 5 websites that feel illegal to know, which is a super played out intro hook that like everybody and their brother uses now. But at the time it was like, a few people were using it, and it got banned by TikTok for some reason.
Because of the word illegal.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I know that now. At the time, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What the heck? It was the first one that I ever got removed. And I think at that point, I had maybe 8,000 followers on TikTok. Still 800 on Instagram. Still nothing.
Oh, okay. So had Instagram come out with their Reels yet?
Reels was out, and I was like I had just become like comfortable being like, okay, I can post on TikTok. Let me start posting these on Instagram because my friends and family are going to see these now. So and I'm more comfortable now letting them see that stuff. I'm like more openly, I guess.
Got it.
And so I started posting, but it was getting no traction whatsoever. Like very little. Like TikTok growth was, was steady and gradual, but Instagram was just dead, just flat. Maybe like 1 or 2 new people a week would join the audience.
Got it.
And for whatever reason, I posted that video on TikTok. It got removed. So I rage posted it to Instagram like that second.
Rage posted.
And I was like, post.
Wait, so were you not uploading your TikToks to Instagram then?
Sporadically.
Okay, just sometimes, but TikTok was your main focus.
Yeah, because that's where I was getting the most traction. And it was funny because I actually made a video about how I thought Instagram was dead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's kind of an interesting thought because I think it's wherever, like, creators are going to be drawn to whatever platform that they get the most engagement on.
Yeah.
And I've personally seen that, like, when a video starts going viral on whatever platform, like, my attention gets drawn to that platform because I want to see what people are saying in the comments or, the general analytics of how things are moving or clicks, etc.
Yeah.
I love the data.
Yeah. Ecommerce.
Yeah, right. But for whatever reason, I posted that video on Instagram, and it started going nuclear, like crazy viral.
On Instagram.
On Instagram specifically. And what was really funny is I was at a wedding that weekend.
Right. Okay, so hold on. So you put it on TikTok and they banned it. So was it up for a period of time before they took it down?
Maybe 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they had already this policy in place where anything that comes out with this or that word that they'll just knock out as soon as they can.
I guess previous ones that I had with that same intro hook were fine. So it was weird that one was removed when all these other ones weren't.
That is weird.
And it was I put a lot of effort into editing the video because I edited in clips of like TV shows and movies, which provided a lot of kind of comedy to the video. And maybe that was the reason it got copyrighted for some reason for like one of the clips, whatever. But I've never had these problems on Instagram, which is interesting. So posted it to Instagram, and I posted on a Wednesday or Thursday, I think. And then kind of a slow rollout, and then I think Friday morning I wake up and it was like I had gained 13,000 followers on Instagram overnight.
Whoa.
Went from 1,000 to 13,000 like overnight, and my video had I think like 1.5 million views.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, whoa, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
And had to turn off notifications for everything for Instagram.
Yeah.
And TikTok was still kind of just pitter pattering along. It didn't have the same correlated effect. And it just kept going. Like by Saturday, it was like another 20,000. Then it was another 30,000. Then it was another 30,000. Another 30,000. Like every single day I was getting like 20, 30,000 followers. And it ended up capping out around 120 something.
Just from that?
Just from the single one video.
Unbelievable.
And the video capped out around 17 million views on Instagram.
17 million views.
Yeah.
And you were at a wedding? What was
I was at a wedding in Seattle, and I was just showing my friends. I was like, dude, what is going on right now?
Dude, holy shit.
Because this was like the same account that I'd follow, that like my family follows, and like everyone follows.
Yeah, your personal Instagram.
All of a sudden it just starts like going just bananas.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is in that video that went viral, I mentioned SiteRight.
Wow.
So overnight, we went from doing cold email and cold outbound to I had to turn it all off because I had the calendar was fully booked out.
Jeez.
We had we had hundreds and hundreds of new free trial signups.
Whoa.
It was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like hold the phone. Like this is a true game changing like model in the sense of like I just posted a video, now we have money. Like I was like, what is going on? Like this is like what I see on TikTok and Instagram. Like this is what I see other people, and it's now it's happening to me. Like why? And but then I almost a year later, and that was last July, so almost a year after starting of posting. And so now what I tell, like when I talk to people that are like doing content creation, it's like your first 150 videos, specifically with this short form video content, are probably going to be trash, but it's the most like formative part of how you build out like the next 150, because you're going to learn so much about editing style and audio and captions and posting times and like all the little details of things, like those all just get kind of ironed out or removed from the process, and then you can start focusing on the content and the creative aspect of the actual content itself. And
it's so interesting how that works, the social media blow ups that you see. And as I've been studying this a little bit more, as I've been building this podcast, I just look through people's posts and see, and discover and try to look at some of the analytics of when they had a huge spike in followers and like what was it that made them do that. And you see these trends that just somehow go viral, right? With this one video, I mean, there's so many different reasons based off the category of why this or that video would blow up. And for you, I mean, I'm still trying to understand what that could have been for that 5 illegal websites video.
Yeah.
Could you just share more detail about that, or
So the
any
one
hashtags you put on?
There's a few things. The first is the clips, like having a clip of like a Family Guy clip or something, like people see that and like, oh, I like that show. So that's like one piece of it. The second piece was negative engagement is good engagement. And so what I mean by that is like controversial stuff, or where like even if somebody's commenting on your post and it's a negative comment, it helps boost the post because it's engagement on the post.
Right.
So, and it's hilarious because people fall for it all the time.
Yeah, well,
all the time.
That's why you see so much bullshit on social media, right?
Yeah. I mean, the big one was my latest video about the Tesla Elon Musk Vegas Hyperloop.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Tens of thousands of people fell for that video. It's hilarious. Anyway,
fell for it. I like how you say that.
I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
So the one that I'm fairly certain played a part is in that week prior, Adam Mazzari, I think he's the head of Instagram. It was like that was the time when they were messing with Reels. They like were changing how the platform, there was like 3 or 4 days where they changed how the entire platform looked, where they made it emulate how TikTok looked, where they made it like so you could only scroll one video at a time for the entire home feed. And I posted that video in that time period, in that week. And so I think this is, total guessing, but because I posted it during that time frame, the algorithm for some reason was boosting Reels during that time period, and that's what initially helped it.
Interesting.
Kind of go off.
Interesting. Yeah. But why yours?
It just beats me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think it's because it was good content.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
there's tens of thousands of comments on that video that are saying that. So
okay. Well, it's helpful information. And tell us. So there was another thing you did there that was kind of clever. So in that video, you purposely said 5 websites, right? But you only gave 4.
Yes.
What's the background with that?
Yeah. So that's that negative comment idea or negative engagement idea where I'm baiting people into complaining, basically.
Got it. So that's such an interesting strategy that's common, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
you look at people like, you get a lot of hype around Andrew Tate recently, right? Like he was kind of a good example of people who, a lot of people had issues with what he says, but, he was doing it on purpose to get that kind of attention, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's when you start to realize that people are just pushing buttons to get responses, like the market reacts the way the market reacts. And if you know how to push buttons to make it react in a certain way where you can control that outcome, all you have to do is go on podcasts or go on, interviews and say crazy things, and you have distribution immediately.
For real.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, like kind of moving forward for all business owners, entrepreneurs into 2023 and beyond is like, how can you control your distribution and your marketing? So many businesses rely on content creators like me and pay people like me to make content for them. Yeah. Where the math still works out if they were trying to do that video in paid advertising versus organically. But over time, that's going to flip where influencers or content creators are going to start creating or start charging more and more money, where that delta is going to start to become smaller and smaller and smaller, where companies are going to have to, hire internally or like figure something out where they can control their own distribution, where somebody from, you could post your video and get people to watch it to take action.
Got it.
I think that's one of the most important things like I've learned from this whole experience is the power of being able to do that organically without paid advertising.
So am I understanding this right when I say it's almost like hiring influencers to work directly for you instead of going out to these, you could almost call them contractors, right? These celebrities get approached by brands in all different forms, and they're either in a commercial, maybe they're doing a social media post, whether it's Kim Kardashian, whether it's LeBron, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Am I understanding what you're saying correctly of what the future might hold for that, of what companies are going to need to do?
Kinda. People want to follow people, not brands.
Right.
So
how do companies optimize that then in the future with this vision you're referring to?
Yeah. So one of the best companies that has a really good example of this is Duolingo. And they created a mascot for their social presence. And so they can have any employee go into the mascot suit and then film crazy videos, and that mascot is consistent across all of their content. And so that mascot has its own distribution. Like, people will follow that company because of the mascot. And that mascot can then create content that then drives traffic back to the site. And so people are following it for the mascot, not necessarily to learn how this website is making me learn another language, or like whatever they do. I don't even know what they do. Yeah. See, like but I know that their marketing and their content creation from a social media point of view with their mascot is so powerful because they're crushing it.
Yeah,
they're crushing it.
That is cool, because that's like a fun idea that they can repeat and replace different people to participate in.
Yeah, and so many, like, that's I think a much bigger, grander example. A lot of small business owners who don't have the budget to do that, or whatever. It's gonna be a point where you get to it. You're gonna get to a point where it's like, okay, it's a fork in a road. It's either I'm making the content myself or I have to pay for it. And for the people that take advantage of diving in, like yourself, of like figuring it out and learning how to do content creation, will prosper long term, because the power of owning and having your own distribution, it's almost invaluable at this point. And this is why so many people online were telling people, like, don't miss out on TikTok, because it's not going to last for forever. The way that people can just get immediate virality and engagement and a new audience, like, instantly, that's not going to last for forever as more and more people join and more competition joins the platform. Yeah. So it's like, seize it now, or seize it while you can, and a year from now, when people are like, oh shoot, now we need to get on TikTok, like, you're already that 150 videos ahead. Like, you're already taking advantage of the tools that you have access to.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so that's really neat, all the social media stuff and the journey you've had there. I do want to back up a little bit, though, just to give some more context, since I introduced you by saying you've started a number of different businesses. We talked about the vape business. We talked about SiteRight. But I know you've done a few other things along the way. You've invented products that you've sold. Yeah. Could you just briefly share what some of those products were?
Yeah. So one of my favorite is Shades on Party. All the sunglasses right behind you.
Yep, nice.
So that was a brand that we ran for a few years, and recently just put it on pause to focus more on SiteRight.
Sure.
And that was an extremely fun brand to run, because it was very low cost, high margin business that was a lot of fun to run. Yeah. Because it revolved around a niche of music festivals and parties and things.
Where'd you get these glasses from? Did you guys make them?
We partner with a manufacturer in China.
Got it. Okay. And would you design these, or how?
So what we found is there's 3 factories in China that make 95% of the sunglasses that are around the world.
That's insane.
And they all have the same styles. So for instance, like those blue ones, the third ones up that are like squarish.
Those are swag, yep.
Those ones. Yeah. Those are the exact model that Louis Vuitton used for their sunglasses.
Wow.
like the exact same model. It's just missing
swag,
it's just missing like the Louis Vuitton like emblems on the sides.
Damn, these feel good.
So those exact models, they're selling them for $500, $600, and we're buying them for like $350.
Damn,
a piece.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, these do look swag though. I might have to take these to the strip with me tonight.
There you go. Yeah, so that was a fun business, and it's one of those that it needs a team of people.
Uh-huh.
And since I run a very lean team,
right.
I don't have like the young guns to like go to a music festival, set up booths quite yet.
Sure.
So, but that's the idea. Like my goal is to eventually get that one back to a point where we can relaunch that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's on pause right now. What were some of the other ones?
So there's another one. The art one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one was originally C137designs.com.
Uh-huh.
Rebranded as customartstudios.com. I noticed that there were a few companies that they would provide a service where they would create a cartoon character of you. So you could submit photos of you or your family or your dog or whatever. Uh-huh. And then this company would then draw you in the form of a Simpsons character, for instance. I was like, that's really interesting. Yeah. How are they able, and it was odd because they were using very clearly copyrighted material.
Right.
Like simpsonizeme.com or like, it's like
very
obvious. Very obvious. So I'm like, this is interesting. Uh-huh. How are they doing that? Like legally, how are they doing this? Like there must be some workaround.
Right.
So I thought of the idea. I was like, okay, well, Rick and Morty is a popular cartoon right now. Uh-huh. This was like in season 2. Yeah. I think. Let's do the same business model, but for Rick and Morty characters, and use our experience with search engine optimization to turn myself into a Rick and Morty character, use our knowledge of social media marketing and paid advertising to run ads to people looking for that or scrolling for that. They see that, oh, that's a good gift for my brother, sister, mother, brother, whatever. And we actually emailed what we thought at the time was the IP holder of Rick and Morty seeking a collaboration. And we have proof of this because we had to send it later on. And we were running this business. It was going incredibly well. We had partnerships with Post Malone. We did content for his entire production team. Wow. We did stuff for Lil Pump. Okay. Wow. And we have pictures with all of these guys holding our art, which is crazy. Yeah. One of my partners got to go and meet Post Malone. Like he delivered it to him in person. Wow. Got to meet him and everything. It was pretty cool. Wow. And we were running that business, and it was just scaling like crazy until the day that we got a cease and desist letter from Warner Brothers.
This is the fun part.
Yeah. And so we're like, you're kidding me. Like we reached out to Comedy Central, and here's our email. Like, here's the proof that we sent 4 months ago, like asking for a licensing deal or collaboration. And for whatever reason, Warner Brothers just wouldn't work with us. We tried to do licensing. We tried to can we pay you money? And they just were like, no, you have to take it down. And so at that point, we transitioned the brand to Custom Art Studios, and we tried to do alternative styles but at that point we couldn't basically turn me into a Rick and Morty character, which clearly is, clearly we were in the wrong, clearly. But it's just like you see, obviously this is in hindsight, like I'm an idiot, but at the time, and seeing this other business that was doing millions of dollars in revenue for the Simpsons characters, I'm like, well, you know, there's got to be, how is this being allowed? Right? And you don't know if you don't try.
Right.
So we tried, and it worked for a while, but until it didn't.
Yeah.
And so, great learning experience. Shout out to Warner Brothers. Love you. Would love to work with you guys at some point.
Yeah.
And then we found out, like, the whole reason why they didn't want to work with us is because probably 3 to 6 months later, they released their own website app that you could create your own Rick and Morty character.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy. So they're doing the exact same thing as you guys.
The exact same thing, except it's not personalized to, like, it's not an artist actually drawing it. It's like you're building your character, like the memojis on the iPhone.
Got it. Yeah.
You're like building your own avatar.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was a good one.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Well, a few different journeys there. It's fun to hear about that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Ross, a question that I'm asking every entrepreneur is, which is, what is one entrepreneurial life hack that goes against the mainstream belief that you believe in?
That goes against the... Say it again?
Something, so it's an entrepreneurial life hack, some sort of tactic, some sort of piece of advice you can give to people out there that might be kind of different, that's unique to your belief.
So, I mean, the current one... the first one that comes to my mind and the current one is the concept or difference between a website funnel and a social funnel.
Awesome. Let's hear about this.
And this is a new idea that I've been working through, and it's very consistent with what I'm seeing with my own content creation processes and all this. But essentially what it is, or the theory behind it, is everybody uses a website funnel. Everybody. And this is how it works. Like, you create content, and this is how all of my content works, with the exception of the last few pieces, which is quite interesting. And I can mention that, or touch on that. You post a piece of content, you point people to a website, they take action on the website. What I'm now seeing is, and in that process, there's typically, you collect somebody's email, and then you start sending them emails as follow-ups. So the core system that many agencies or many businesses use is you create a piece of content that is a value-based piece of information with a call to action to download or get another free piece of information, like a free PDF guide, something like that. You capture that person's information, like their email, and then you can start sending follow-up emails to that person. That's great. That's what everybody does. Where the problem is that's kind of old school. Yeah. I mean, heavy quotes. Right. But so what I'm seeing is, instead of doing email, you keep it on the platform. So this is the whole idea of the social funnel versus website funnel.
Yeah.
So instead of doing a call to action, hey, go to this website to take action.
Right.
The call to action is, hey, DM me a keyword and I'll send you the information for free. And so it does a couple of things. The main one being, it keeps people on the platform, which is what the platforms want. They want you to stay on the platform engaging with their content. They don't want you to leave to go to another website. So it aligns your call to action with the goals of the algorithm, which is not usually the case.
Right.
And the second part is, it prompts people to create a conversation in direct message, in DMs, where it's more, especially if it's a personal page like mine, where it's like my face and my name, somebody DMing me back and forth is getting that personalized touch further than an email. Like, it's more personalized because we're just chatting, like texting. Yeah. So it feels like, psychologically, it feels more personalized.
Personal, sure.
And So the warm-up process that would typically take maybe a few days with email, send an email, wait a day, send another email, wait a day, maybe they click on a link, maybe. Like that process can be expressed at a much faster rate with direct messages because people will see it, respond or not. And then you can just continue that conversation. And so what I've started to realize is instead of pushing people to a website, push people to the DMs.
Yeah.
And then use that as a way to talk with people, and then use specific messaging and to get people to give me more information or book a meeting or take action.
Awesome. Well, that's a good one, dude. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Cool, man. Well, one last question here. This has been an awesome journey to go through. I'm sure we could keep talking forever. There's so much to dig into.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep these episodes at listening length for folks.
Yeah.
But given the profile that I tend to be looking for to interview on this show, people who are up and coming, entrepreneurs, people like you, right? Do you have someone in mind who you think I should bring onto the show and have a conversation with?
Yeah. So one of our other mutual buddies from Santa Clara, Justin Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah. I partnered up with him on a project called TrendingSounds.io. And social media related. So he's got a lot of interesting insights from kind of the product side as well.
Yeah.
So I think he would be somebody good to talk to.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'll certainly be linking up with him and getting an episode in.
Yeah.
All right, Ross, this has been awesome, dude. Where can people find you online, your social media? Share with people.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at ecomross.
Yep.
And feel free to shoot me a DM, and I'll send you some good information.
Yeah, and check out SiteRight. Check out the services he does. It's pretty awesome content, and he's very diligent about putting it out there. So, Ross, been super cool to watch your journey and your blow up. And dude, again, thank you for having me out here. I appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Okay. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for joining our conversation today on the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please check out and follow my podcast Instagram at Nichols and Dimes Show. I'd love to have you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also find it on my website. I welcome and encourage any feedback you can share in the reviews so I can continue to improve and develop the show. Thanks again, and see you next time.